Night alone. Tally and Shay made it to the cave first. Croy arrived a few minutes later without warning, he and his board hurtling through the waterfall in a sudden explosion of splashing and cursing. He tumbled into the darkness, his body rolling against the stone floor with a series of sickening thuds. Tally scrambled from the back of the cave, a flashlight in one hand. Croy shook his head and groaned. I lost them. Tally looked at the entrance of the cave, the sheet of water a solid curtain against the night. I hope so. Where's everybody else? Dunno. Maddie told us all to go different ways. Since I was flying solo, I went all the way around the greenbelt first to get them off track. He laid his head back, still panting. A position finder fell from one of his hands. Wow, you went fast. You're telling me. No crash bracelets. Been there. At least you had shoes on, Tally said. Did anyone chase you? He nodded. I held on to my tracker as long as I could, got most of the specials to follow me. But there were a whole bunch of hoverboard riders in the belt. You know, city kids. The specials kept getting us confused. Tally smiled. Dex, Anne, and Sussy had done their work well. Are David and Maddie okay? I wouldn't know about okay, he said softly. But they got off right after you, and it didn't look like anyone was following them. Maddie said they were heading straight for the ruins. We're supposed to meet them there tomorrow night. Tomorrow? Tally said. Maddie wanted to be alone with David for a while, you know. Tally nodded, but her heart wrenched inside her. David needed her. At least, she hoped he did. The thought of him dealing with Az's death without her made the icy feeling in her stomach drop a few more degrees. Of course, Maddie was there. Az had been her husband, after all, and Tally had only met the man once. But still. She sighed. Tally tried to remember the last words she'd said to David and wished they'd been more comforting. There hadn't even been time to hold him. Since the invasion of the smoke, Tally hadn't been separated from David for longer than that hour in the storm, and now she wouldn't see him for a whole day. Maybe I should go out to the ruins. I could hike out there tonight. Don't be crazy, Croy said. The specials are still out looking. But just in case they need anything, Maddie said to tell you no. Asterix and Ride showed up a half hour later, coming into the cave more gracefully than Croy, but with their own stories of running from hover cars. The pursuit had been confused, the specials overwhelmed by everything that had happened that night. They never even got close, Asterix said. Ride shook his head. They were all over the place. It's like we won a battle, you know, Croy said. We beat them in their own city, made them look like fools. Maybe we don't have to hide in the wild anymore, Ride said. It could be like when we were uglies, playing tricks, but telling the whole city the truth. And if we get caught, Tally can come and rescue us, Croy shouted. Tally tried to smile at their cheers, but knew she wouldn't feel good about anything until she saw David again. Not until tomorrow night. She felt exiled, shut out from the one thing that really mattered. Shay had fallen asleep in a small crevice after complaining about the dampness in her hair, asking when they were going to take her home. Tally crawled back to where her friend lay and snuggled up next to her, trying to forget the damage that had been done to Shay's mind. At least Shay's new body wasn't as painfully skinny. She felt soft and warm in the damp cold of the cave. Cradled against her, Tally managed to stop shivering. But it was a long time before she fell asleep. She woke up to the smell of pad thai. Croy had found the food packets and purifier in her knapsack and was making food with water from the fall, apparently trying to placate Shay. A little escape was one thing, but I didn't know you guys were going to drag me all the way out here. I'm through with this whole rebellion thing. I've got a wicked hangover, and I really need to wash my hair. There's a waterfall right there, Croy said. But it's cold. I'm so over this camping out bogusness. Tally crawled out into the big part of the cave, every muscle stiff, every rock she'd slept on imprinted on her. Through the curtain of the waterfall, dusk was falling. She wondered if she'd ever be able to sleep at night again. Shay was squatting on a rock, digging into the pad thai, complaining that it wasn't spicy enough. Bedraggled, in dirty party clothes, her hair stuck to her face, She was still stunning. Ryde and Asterix watched her silently, a bit awestruck by her looks. They were two of Shay's old friends who'd run away to the smoke the time she'd chickened out, so it must have been months since they'd seen a pretty face. Everyone seemed willing to let her go on complaining. One thing about being pretty, people put up with your annoying habits. "Morning," said Croy. "Sweet balls or veggie rice?" "Whatever's faster." Tally stretched her muscles. She wanted to get to the ruins as quickly as possible. When darkness fell, Tally and Croy crept out from behind the waterfall. There was no sign of specials in the sky. She doubted anyone was searching this far out. 40 minutes from the city on a fast board was a long way. They gave the all clear, and everyone rode farther upriver, to a place where the river's course twisted closer to the ruins. A long hike followed, the four uglies sharing the load of boards and supplies. Shay had stopped complaining, settling into a pouty, hungover silence. The walk seemed easy for her. Her wiry fitness from hard work at the smoke hadn't faded in 2 weeks, and the operation actually firmed up a new pretty's muscles, at least for a while. Although Shay announced once that she wanted to go home, heading back on her own didn't seem to have entered her mind. Tully wondered what they were going to do with her. She knew there was no simple fix. Maddie and Az had worked for 20 years to no avail, but they couldn't leave Shay like this. Of course, the moment she was cured, her hatred for Tally would return. Which was worse, a friend with brain damage or one who despised you? They reached the edge of the ruins after midnight and boarded down to the abandoned building where Tally and David had camped. David was waiting outside. He looked exhausted, the dark lines under his eyes visible even in starlight. But he embraced Tally the moment she stepped from the board, his arms tight around her, and she hugged him back hard. "Are you okay?" she whispered, then felt idiotic. What was he supposed to say to that? "Oh, David, of course you're not. I'm sorry, Shh, I know." He pulled away and smiled. Relief flowed through Tally, and she squeezed David's hand, confirming the realness of him. "I missed you," she said. "Me too." He kissed her. "You two were just so cute," Shay said, combing her hair with her fingers after the windy ride. "Hi, Shay." David gave her a tired smile. "You guys look hungry." "Only if you have any non-bogus food," Shay said. "Afraid not. 3 kinds of reconstituted curry." Shay groaned and pushed past him into the crumbling building. His eyes followed her, but without any of the awe still in Ryde and Asterix's faces. It was as if David didn't see her beauty. He turned back. "We finally got some luck." Tally looked into his lined, fatigued face. "Really?" "We got that tablet working, the one Dr. Cable was carrying. Mom was yanking the phone part out so they couldn't track us through it, and she got it to display Cable's work data." "About what?" "All her notes on making pretties into specials. Not just the physical part," he pulled her closer, "but also how the brain lesions work. It's everything my parents weren't told when they were doctors." Tally swallowed. "Shay," he nodded. "Mom thinks she can find a cure."